We're in Philadelphia on North Front Street between West Montgomery Avenue and East/West North Street.
Are you the reporter?
Yeah, because there's a demolition going on.
Well, it didn't happen yet.
Well,
We have to get our facts straight.
so
Sign posted that they might be demolishing this building.
which building? That white building?
The bar on the corner on the left-hand side.
So there might be a demolition going on, and there's a protest there to stop the demolition.
And we're going to go and we're going to find out why people want to stop the demolition, and we'll be reporting on it, telling them about it. Telling you more about what we're doing here today. Okay, come on.
But that's built, this has a demo permit. It's a full demo permit.
So we're not near the street.
It's a full demo permit. We're not stupid. You can breathe. It's a full demo permit.
Get closer.
So, whenever you say, sorry, why? You've heard it so many times. So many times the buildings are going to be used. You know what they're going to do? They're going to build with the neighborhood. They're going to add this. They're going to do this. They're going to do that. They're going to do this. And it never happens. Not all. There are good developers out there. There are Not whatsoever. Because you know what? We live here. This is our neighborhood. We're the ones paying taxes. We're the ones dealing with whatever construction mess is happening, which has to be picked up. After here, this isn't this. We're the ones that are dealing with this. We're the ones that are dealing with every day. There's too many times that people aren't going with us. There's no discussion unless they need zoning variance. Unless they need something from us, then there's a but in the meantime, no, they just do what they want to do, and they want to build for the future. All right, that's great, but what about us that lives here? And I don't mean just a long time, I mean who moved here last week, yesterday, today? We're all residents, we're all neighbors. It's individuals like developers that sit here and make these decisions. Yes, and they're for the profit. Yes, it's their money. Yes, it's their profit, but it's our neighborhood. So this is enough. So starting today and onward, whatever neighborhood it is, I will do my best to be out there and support that neighborhood. But we have to make every developer in Philadelphia accountable. You have to build with the neighborhood and build with the community. If not, we'll come out and we'll call you out. And yeah, you may still demo it, but we're still going to call you out on it. Because this is unacceptable. to our local artists and all the signs around here. If someone could come up here and take pictures of all this would be great, because I see all these signs. This is love. This is what it's about. We live in Philadelphia because we love it. Yes, many of us are in a financial situation, and of course we want to live someplace else, but for the most part, we do love it. No matter how much it gets on our nerves, no matter how angry we are, we love Philadelphia. And we love the buildings that are here. And we need them to stay. We need them to reuse. Most affordable is the reuse. You know, right now, we're in a climate issue. When you demo buildings, you dig. That goes in the air. It goes in our waterways. Rats. So, you know, we need more accountability. Instead of them just coming in and taking out. It's constantly every single day. So, why are we here today?
To stop the demolition of a national bank, a historical. Look at the hardwood. We're working. When they tear this down, they're not going to do half the work that it is.
Look at that building right there.
Exactly.
That's the
So, we're here to make every developer in the Riverwoods, in Kensington, in Philadelphia accountable. And it means a lot to see people out here today. You know, it's a beautiful day, it's the summertime. The last thing many of us want to do is stand under a L and all this noise. So it means a lot that you're out here. It really does. And it shows that you care and that we're going to say, you know, listen to us. So I don't care how many times you post and you write articles, there's still a demo permit on you. So you can withdraw the demo zoning and reuse it until this permit is withdrawn. This is a future demolition. Your articles, lies.
Is there anything we can do on our own? Anybody we can contact?
Well, what do you ask? Right now in Philadelphia, you don't have any rights when it comes to development and construction. Unless they want to access your roof or underpin, or it's a zoning variance. So we don't really have much say when it comes to demolitions. So we can demand accountability, we can demand residential rights, we can demand community rights. But I think the biggest thing what we can do is also, anytime there's situations like this, where there's neighborhoods that are feeling threatened and overtaken by developments and demolitions, that we spread the word. We try to get out there and try to encourage other people. We can share social media, we just have to spread the word. We can't stop today. This can't be the last time. Every day, a beautiful church in West Philly got taken down. Beautiful church. The owners promised reuse. They said to them, we promised not to demo it, and they demoed it, and it broke the heart of the neighborhood there. Germantown, same way. The neighbors up in Germantown tried to designate a house, a building, piece of history. It didn't go through. They did the same thing that we're doing here. They demonstrated, and they were threatened with lawsuits. They were threatened that they didn't have a say, and that structure is now gone. So we need to come out and we need to spread this. We can't let developers win, because they'll threaten to sue us because we don't have a say. Go ahead. So we just have to keep on fighting.
Sue us, we ain't got nothing. We ain't got nothing.
All we have is Philly.
Yeah. Exactly. There's power in numbers. Power in numbers.
Bring everybody
Always.
together. Make a
Yeah.
fuss.
I mean, I look around, I see faces, I see people who have lost the things that they treasure. Saw their buildings get taken down. They put money into lawyers and they ask, can we work with you? Can we work with you? And it never happens. It never happens. It's all about the greed. It's all about the money. They sit there and they tell us lies all the time. It's always lies. So we need to have accountability. Withdraw the demo permit. That's it. Just withdraw it. Right now, it's a demo permit. Withdraw the demo permit.
Withdraw the demo permit! Withdraw the demo permit!
Withdraw the demo permit. 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 Withdraw the demo permit.
Why don't you guys come closer?
And I have to say, someone, apparently they're saying they don't own this anymore, the bulb heads, whoever they are. But why do they keep on putting articles out protecting this other new owner developer?
Because they're gonna do what those guys did right up the street. Those guys right up there, okay? You can see those big giant balls up there and there's a black building right next to it. There used to be a parking lot there. It was owned by the people with the black building. They sold it to themselves under a different name, and then they built 2 new buildings in a parking lot 5 feet from the windows. I know this because I lived in one of those windows. They didn't tell us. They lied to us. They told us that somebody else bought the lot. They are full of shit. They moved their management company onto the first floor of those buildings. They own those buildings. So guess what? Not only did they build buildings right next door and take away open space, they lied to every tenant in that building. That's the kind of shit that happens in Philadelphia because they can get away with it. Right? Nobody complains about it. I've only lived here for 20 years. She's a forever person. You might, I mean, I'm not a local according to that, but guess what? I like this place. I love Fishtown. I love Kensington. It doesn't matter if I've been here a week, a month, or 20 years, right? All you gotta do is say stop and tell people you're not gonna do this anymore. We have so many young people. We have so many young people that don't seem to really appreciate the history behind this neighborhood. It's up to us to make sure people get it. All you gotta do is look up and down this road, and all you see are blank front buildings, one after the other, shoving as many people as they can to get in there. And guess what? All they care about is making money. You look at that, I'm gonna call it a piece of shit building. I've already heard that in that building, you can't, it leaks, number one, you can't turn your air conditioning below 75 or else you're gonna get water pouring down the walls, and half of the electric outlets don't work. I've seen that building being built and I saw them leave it for a year and then pick up right where they left off without any remediation at all.
95 units, 18 parking spots.
18 parking spots, enough. They keep saying, oh, they're new people, millennials, they don't have cars. Bullshit. I'm a college professor. Every one of my seniors who graduate moved to Philly with a car.
Who's buying luxury housing without a car?
It's not, exactly, it's not even, they're 800 square feet and they're charging you $2,000. It's ridiculous.
And the unregulated.
No!
Nobody can afford it. We need affordable housing. We need preservation of architecture. We need people who care. Enough with all the fucking profit, people. I mean, it's, how much money do you need, for God's sakes?
And the unregulated development is pouring a lot of lead into our water table.
It's awful.
So not only in this area do we already have a major crisis where we have lead in our schools, we have lead in our soil, now we have lead inside of our water. And it's this unregulated development that's quite literally poisoning us. Your Brita doesn't do anything about lead in your water.
They're knocking things down. The dust is everywhere. It's God. I remember when they were our voices heard. Really, what this city needs is more voices from the people. L&I needs to be completely overhauled. Zoning overhaul. Somebody out there's got to step up and make it happen. Because this shit that's been going on for God knows how many years in this city has got to stop if we care. If we don't care, guess what? All you're going to see up and down the streets of this city are those goddamn fires. And in 10 years, they're going to fall down just like they did on Gerard. Okay? You know, if you live there, I feel sorry for you. I tell everybody in my old building, run for your lives. Don't even think of living there. Okay? So if that's what they're going to do to us, that's what they're going to do to the people who live here. Because guess what? They're going to check out as soon as they build this crap, and then they're going to leave.
They're gonna leave with the money.
And then we're going to be left. With their tax abatements. With their taxes. And that's another thing. How many of you realize that those tax abatements are all going to stop in like the next month? So developers are running out and getting in all of their requests for demolition now. They have to get it on the books now, which means there's going to be a huge number of spaces where people's buildings, history, poof, gone, just so they can get their permits under the wire. And they can put more money in their pockets. And think about it, folks. If that building starts falling down, if that building starts having problems, it's going to become half empty. What happens to half empty buildings in Philadelphia? Nothing. I can tell you, I've seen people going in there while it was being built, and they had to get people out. The police were called for squatters in there. We don't need that. It's bad enough that half the buildings that are being built in the city have the promise of first floor retail, right? First floor retail. You go look at every building that's been built from scratch. Available space, available space, available space all over the first floor. You know why they do that? So they can get away with zoning changes. So that they don't have to have a percentage of low-income housing. So they don't have to meet parking spot requirements. It's all about freaking density. And then guess what? The promises of having grocery stores or other types of businesses on the first floor, they disappear too. Show me any building that's being built right now, anywhere, that's got a first floor grocery store moving in. It ain't happening, folks. There's hardly any profit in grocery stores. It's not going to happen. It's a pipe dream.
dream. Selling a dream. They'll tell you anything.
Anything to get what they want. I've been to so many zoning meetings, it's ridiculous. You need to open your mouth. You need to tell people to care.
Can we go
Okay?
back to something you said, which was about like the basically there's no consequences?
There's no consequences at all. They come to a zoning meeting. It was about this building. The original plan, they were supposed to have an open space to the public in front. That's how they got away with how they designed the building. They basically built pillars and trees to block people from entering their area. It's lovely. And they built, this is even better, they built a parking garage that they can't move people in and out of with trucks. So guess what? All their trucks are blocking all the roads every time they move somebody in.
And so who's the council person of this area?
Yeah, who is, Van, where are you?
And they're here.
Who's our council person in this part, you know? I think it's real.
Maria Quinones?
Yeah. Okay.
Could that be the name?
Maria Quinones Sanchez.
The
There you go.
people sell out. She sells out the people who voted for her.
Well, think about it the next time you go to the polls, people. Make that a priority. When the next election
Make
comes,
that a
ask them what they
priority.
think about it. Because without you asking them, they're not going to care. They're just going to perpetuate the same old shit. All right?
Where are our councilmen?
Yeah, they're not here.
They're not here
don't
because they're in cahoots with the big developers. They're getting something
It's
out
a real
of it.
shame. It
They're
really is.
making backroom
It's all
deals.
about money. Do we want this part of town to become Northern Liberties? Go down to Northern Liberties and look at the corner of 2nd and Girard, folks. God, there's like how many apartment buildings being built? How many apartment buildings are being built on Callow Hill, at 5th and Spring Garden, at 3rd and Callow Hill? It's a freaking nightmare. It's just shove as many people in a box as you can, with no care at all about this. I live right there. I look at this building every day, and it amazes me. That building right there amazes me. We got to make sure this stuff sticks around. And it's up to you to make that happen. You being here is a step. We got to get more people involved. We got to let people know that you have demands. You have a voice, and it needs to be listened to.
If we need to be soldiers in the army for our community. We have to fight, march all the time.
Other way,
And every time they see us, 20 more people, 50 more people. Yeah, they need to understand our community. Yeah, and we gonna fight for it. Our community.
And one last comment. Do you want this to be your neighborhood,
Bill
or
Lake
do you
live
want
here.
that box to be your neighborhood?
We want history. We want history.
We don't want our history disappearing any more than it has to, people, right?
For paper box, we need toy house.
I'll shut up now.
Can y'all hear me?
Or did you hashtag this, Jack?
I am an activist in Kensington. I am a candidate for Congress in this district. It is the 2nd Congressional District. But most importantly, I am a resident right here in this neighborhood. Now, I want to tell y'all a little bit about some of the developers involved because I've been dealing with these dickheads for like 3 years. They came, demolished the building across the street from my house, promised that everything would be taken care of, nobody would be affected.
Yeah, right.
We were like, what about all the lead in here? What about all the toxins in here? The asbestos. There was tested and proven asbestos in the building. They said it'll be removed properly. Why do I have a video of them smashing the windows out without properly removing the asbestos? Because they lie. They always lie. We see it time and time again in Philadelphia. Developers lie. They will say whatever they need to say to get their projects, to make them millions. They will exploit our communities, our low-income communities, our Latino communities, our Black communities, and the LGBTQ community for profit. Putting people over profits is not difficult. I have been displaced by developers multiple times throughout my life. I have watched them displace my mom, and then the developer turned around, ran for office, and won. And this is what these developers do. They exploit anything they can find to make profit. They want to come to this district where the average income is $20,000 or less a year for an individual, and they want to charge $2,000 for a fucking lot. Are you kidding me? These are our communities. And where are the Philadelphia politicians? Where are the electeds? How did that 10-year abatement get passed? Why haven't we abolished it? Where are the progressive politicians? All of them have failed us. I wonder if that has anything to do with all that developer money in Philadelphia politics. The solutions are not that difficult. There are actions on every level of government that can be taken to protect our communities from this. There is rent control. They can rein in the developers. They can do vacant home taxes. There's so many things that they can do to ensure that we are safe and that we have housing and that we will not be displaced, priced out, or replaced. Let's call gentrification what it is. It's modern day colonialization. They are colonizing our communities. It is violence. It is violence. We are not asking for a lot. We're asking for transparency.
Yeah.
Woo!
Seriously.
We were promised no demolition on this. We were promised multiple times over the past few years. And now they want to say, oh, well, we sold the property. We can't be accountable for it. Well, maybe you should have thought about that before you sold the property. Keep your promises to the communities that you're benefiting off of. This is not hard. This is not even a question of politics, it's a question of ethics. We have over 17 million vacant homes in this country and only 500,000 without houses. Why is that? Because they want profit and they put it over people. We already have the resources to ensure that everyone is taken care of, but it's not being done. And if we can't trust the politicians to be transparent and accountable, and we can't trust the developers to be transparent and accountable, who can we trust? Us! The community, the people who show up in solidarity. We organized a direct action 2 years ago against the same developer. And here I am, 2 years later, protesting the same damn developer. Where is the accountability? And if they're not going to give us transparency and accountability, then we can get it ourselves with direct action, with our own community. FDR did not pass the New Deal because he was aggressive. He passed it because activists pushed him to. We bullied him to. We said, this is our line in the sand. Meet us here, get out. And our demands were met. The 19th Amendment, establishing a woman's right to vote, was not given to us by having the right people in office. It was a coalition of activists led by women in the streets who demanded what they needed. They demanded their rights. And they got it. Direct action worked. These politicians and developers are not the only ones with the power around here. We have power. The working class has power. We have a community and we have a show of strength. This is only the beginning. We will get what we ask for, and we will do it through direct action. Politicians be damned, developers be damned. This is about us, our love for our community, and protecting one another. I love all of y'all, thank you.
Everybody, please on. Water here. Mike from Liberty Drive brought it over. If you want a bottle, let's hear it for Mike.
Yeah.
Bring it down to the wall.
You can hold water with the phone, okay? So maybe Daddy can hold it for you.
For sale, and then this is an open place. If anyone wants to talk, come up, talk. Just voice. We use this. Just voice. This is an open space. This is your neighborhood. This is your community. This is your city. And as I said, like, if we see things that we don't like, say it. Let people know. Susan would say, if you know a building is rotty and people are looking at it, so hey, by the way, it's rotty and defective. Don't buy it. Don't rent it. Valerie.
Yes. Come on, Valerie.
So Valerie is a local committee person over here.
Hi, Valerie.
Valerie is part of Kill the Bill for not for sale.
Listen, we have to fight them. We have to. We have to put better people as our leaders. Ones who don't talk out of two sides of their face.
Exactly.
Ones who are going to work for us and not the developers. And every time they try to screw us, we're going to let them know, I'm a virgin, we don't do that. You feel me? We don't do that. This is our community. And it can work. It can work. But just putting up these paper houses, what happened to a little single row? What happened to that? A home. Little space between. Some bricks, some real bricks.
Yeah.
What happened?
Seriously.
We can't let them do this to us. sell us a dream, and give us paper. We need a house that's gonna stand for 30 years. Woo!
Yeah.
95 years. Need a new roof. Need new piping. What happens? And you're charging me $200,000 really for this? For this?
Or 600,000.
Yeah. No, we're not gonna let them do that to us. We're gonna come out, we're gonna fight. Every time the developer see us, he might see 50 the first time. The next time he see 100. The next time 150. There's power in numbers. You have to come out forward and let them know this is our community. Our community. And you will not leave us out of our community.
All right. Hey.
So if anyone's streaming, I would just ask, hashtag stop Demodelphia. You know, as someone that was, born here, it used to be like, you can't make it in Philly unless you leave. No one does anything for you. You're from, what, Philadelphia? Oh. Now, they all want to come and build here. They all want to profit from here.
Yeah.
I am thankful for people who want to move here. Thank you. Thank you for wanting to be a resident here and live here. It's not, unless you're making the decisions of this, but they're coming here and we still don't have a say.
Right. They do whatever they want.
Exactly. So, build with the community, stop the Demodelphia.
There, button. My name is Michelle Gaffney and I'm your neighbor.
Yeah. Michelle.
I'm a homeowner of a 100-year-old house uptown York Street. One of my best friends is a 72-year-old neighbor on York Street. I'm 33 and that makes me a millennial. I believe in good development. I believe in preservation of the character of our city. I was displaced 4 times further and further into Brooklyn, New York, and couldn't afford to stay there despite my family roots being in Brooklyn, New York, Jewish Brooklyn, New York. I had to leave. I had other family here. I loved Philadelphia for who it is and what it is. I didn't come here to have Manhattan follow me. I get nervous telling people I moved here from New York because fuck New York developers. All they see is an opportunity for speculation, to flip, to double or triple their profits. New development is not necessary when you have good bones like these. I'm involved in community organizing because I'm your neighbor. I'm a resident. I feel like I want to belong here. I want to cross generational divides. I don't want a cardboard box for my house. I get nervous every time I think someone's gonna sell on my block because I'm worried about the safety of my home, which is again 100 years old and red brick. And I got it because that's Philadelphia. Not cardboard boxes or things made out of linoleum. So I say build like you live here. There is so much that we could do together. And one of the reasons why it's so hard to do anything in city government is because it's so convoluted to get anything done. All the departments are separated. None of them talk to each other. If I have a complaint that is a legal infraction with licenses and inspection, air management services don't know about it. If the contractor is suspended, this happened to my very good friend, my 72-year-old neighbor who lives in a twin. The third party that pulled their permits was still able to pull their permits and they were able to legally work. They're supposed to be suspended through July 2022. too. So they knocked out half of Quinn, damaged her home, and they're not doing shit to help her. The people who move into that house are going to have a lawsuit on their hands because of all the water damage between the houses that is probably destroying the frame of the home that they're going to sell and flip for 3 times the property value of what was there before. And my neighbor is so disappointed and upset and scared, she says maybe I should give up it. And that's what they want.
Oh, got it.
Developers
Amy's
leave
here.
any
Amy.
lie,
Oh, cool.
manipulation. They'll claim ignorance. They won't talk to you. They'll say they notified you when they didn't. They won't make an agreement to access your property. They'll trespass on your roof. Get it done as fast as possible. To flip as fast a profit as possible. And it's not acceptable. We need a coalition for responsible development in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
So please email us at buildlikeyoulivehere@gmail.com if you are involved in a group that is involved in fighting for responsible development, for accountability, for positive change in government policy that will regulate this kind of disaster and stop it from happening. We want to connect with all of you so that our voices can be as strong and unified as possible. Thank you.
So as Michelle said, build like you live here. And they started because the developer came into their community and acted like an asshole.
Developer with an outstanding lawsuit against him by Philadelphia.
Yeah, and he was evicting tenants during the pandemic and and he filed for bankruptcy and Northern
Still
Liberties and some multiple things that he's still building.
He's still allowed to build.
So, besides the tax evasion and everything else, he has to start defunding them. Like, stop giving them handouts. If they don't build with the neighborhood, build with the community. Seriously. Like, just stop it. Because you know what? We'll figure it out. You always do in Philly. We'll figure it out how to make improvements, how to develop, how to put in affordable housing. It's always been the case. We've always had to do it on our own. So, again, we're here because of the proposed demolition of these 2 banks. These 2 banks are not protected. They're not designated historic, even though in our eyes they are historic. So that's why they got an approved demolition permit, because there's no protection of it. And they're trying their best for the past week, telling us they're going to reuse it. Here's an article. No, we're going to reuse it. Here's this. You got a demo permit. Proof. Proof.
Withdraw the permit.
Withdraw the permit. That's all. They can easily withdraw the permit through the Eclipse system. Not a problem. Withdraw the permit. I'm sure the developer's here somewhere, one of his little people. I'm sure. So we're not going to stop. And because you did this, we're going to make every developer in Philadelphia accountable. So in the future, we will go out to other sites. So other developers, you can make sure that it's this guy's fault because he did this.
Tell your friends.
Tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your children, tell your youth. We need accountability. So, speaking about designation and historic, probably want to bring up here Oscar Weiser. Oscar is a force. He has designated over 200 properties in Philadelphia and saved them from a wrecking ball. Historic designation process takes research and put together an application that is beyond my understanding. I tried. The first time I tried to do an application was for this.
I have a little organization, very scrappy, called the Keeping Society of Philadelphia. We just do nominations. Basically, like, gives us a shell, an organizational shell to just nominate buildings. We don't get a lot of money. We don't take a ton of donations just because we don't really want to have, like, certain people influencing what we do. And so we really just try to stick to designating properties. I got started working on this in Fishtown. I saw a row of wooden houses across from Trinity Park that were like over 200 years old getting demolished, and it reminded me of the houses that are in the paintings of like Williams 10 with the Shakamak's and Indians, and he's down there and you see the houses in the background, and of course they weren't that old, but it's like one day I saw like the demolition permit on them, and I'm like, how many wooden houses actually survive in this city? And I called the historical commission, and they said, well, there's nothing we can do about it. And my thought was, this is pathetic. And so I started working on designations after that. St. Laurentius was one of the first few that I did. Sadly, there's a demolition permit on that now, so designation doesn't always save a building, but it does help. It gives you leverage. Another example is the Edward Corner warehouse on Delaware Avenue. I had heard that was going to be leveled. We got it designated. If they tried to demolish it several times after that, it was a huge, this was one thing, designation is one thing, but that was really a huge community effort. People were monitoring it, people were watching it all the time, and now you see it's a beautiful building on our waterfront. Unfortunately, our whole waterfront has been destroyed by developers and the idiotic policies of our city that want to just erase everything. One thing that the previous person that spoke before Denise, sorry. That's the sound of history right there. I was just going to say that the person that spoke before Denise mentioned something about who doesn't want New York developers. New York developers love Philadelphia because unlike New York, in New York they wouldn't get away with this. In Baltimore they wouldn't get away with this. In DC they wouldn't get. In all the major cities they would not get away with this. We only have about 2% of our buildings protected from demolition, and that Denver has like 4.5% of their buildings protected. Like Denver's doing better with preservation than Philadelphia. It's pretty sad. So I've been advocating for a long time. I mean, I love like perfectly restored buildings, but I've also been advocating for a long time of like getting different categories of designation so that we can just have basic protection of demolition and alteration, but maybe like a little more flexibility on not having to spend tons of money on windows, and other things like that. So, it really is a process that needs a lot more work. We need to reform a lot of the policies. Not every building needs to be treated like it's Society Hill. Not every building needs to be treated like City Hall. We need more adaptive reuse. But as you know, even these beautiful projects like the milk bottle, a lot of that doesn't actually lead to affordable housing. It's never going to be more affordable than it is right now, and it's already gone up. So, all of this bullshit that they keep feeding, that housing, unless they build affordable housing, there isn't going to be affordable housing. That's just the bottom line. Right. These people are in it to make money. And as long as they're doing that, we have to hold them accountable to create something that we find acceptable and respectable to our city. So I would just say, it's amazing to see all these people out here. We started out, when I started working on this, there were very few people, and it's very inspiring just to see all the different people who actually do give a shit about this. I moved out to Germantown to get away from this, and immediately it was like they were demolishing something behind me. So it's really everywhere, and we need a citywide demolition review or moratorium, something like that.
What can we do to stop this from being demolished now?
Well, I would say everyone, one of the things you need to do when you go home, I assume most of you live in this area, you need to go home and email your council person and say, this is outrageous, you need demolition protection for our historic neighborhood.
Maria Sanchez, right?
Sanchez, email Clark, whoever your council person is. They don't know they can care about this. No, but the problem really is that there aren't policies in place to stop this.
Have no rights, no say.
No policies, no.
No say.
Nothing. In grenades. That's a different thing. No, I mean like in Boston, for example, they don't have a lot protected as historic, but the city can stop any demolition permit if they deem that the building is worthy of historic protection. You can try that. You can try that. But I would say the most important thing to do is to every time you see one of these demolitions, email your council person and say, we demand change. Email the at-large council people. I know it seems pointless, but they react to people annoying the hell out of them. Giving them hell. That is what they, yes, in volume. Just flow it in. I mean, there are people I know who work in council offices, and they don't get a lot of emails about this stuff. They don't get a lot of, inquiries. They don't get a lot of emails. Maybe we don't have the most, insightful council in city planning and city government. Our mayor, they're all kind of stuck in this 1980s kind of model of how to plan for a city. And demolition is the most important thing in this city, it seems like.
In a heritage city.
In a heritage city,
In
exactly.
a heritage city.
But the reality is they don't want to be annoyed. So every time you see, even if you think it's not working, it will annoy them and it will alert them that people actually care about this. So please email your elected officials, at-large council people, and your specific council person. That's really important. Beyond that, we really need demolition, some kind of demolition protection. In DC, for example, you can still nominate a building after the demolition permit is filed, as long as it gets designated within like 90 or 120 days after that. We need some more flexible historic district options that are just about, like Lancaster protects 13,000 buildings from demolition, and we protect 20,000. I mean, okay, this city's like, what, 10 times the size of Lancaster? Yeah, Lancaster's small, tiny. It's like a neighborhood in Philadelphia. And they're like, and they're not regulating all those people on the windows and every little detail. They're just making sure that their neighborhood has some protection. And that's what we need in this city. It is not just an issue for people who like to go to like cocktail parties. It's an issue for everyone that lives in this city that wants to feel like their home is protected, and someone can't just come in and level the house next door after 150 years. Demolition happening next to her house. The house is 200 years old. The row is like almost 200 years old. And after 200 years, they can come in and just demolish the house next door. It was all built at the same time without even being required. They are not actually held accountable for putting that notice on the building. Nothing. If they don't put it on, they might get a fine. They can still proceed. There are almost no technicalities to stop the demolition. That is, the most important thing that they allow people to do. We need basic protection in this city from our property being destroyed and from our historic resources being destroyed by greedy developers and idiotic city officials.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so speaking about politics, right now, our city is broken up into a ward system within the voting areas. So one of you are elected for this, if you live within this ward, is here. So you have our ward leader for the 18th ward is here, Mr. John Scott. So him as the ward leader has a lot of say. He's that point person to the elected officials. He's the one who gets the vote out for people. So he is right here. Say say a few words, but make him be accountable if you live in the 18th ward. Make sure he knows who you are and hears your voice and what you want. You want to say something, ward leader?
Yes, sir. Yay, John!
Hi, everybody. Thank you. I have been the board leader now for about 2 weeks.
What have you been doing? Good job!
So thank you again. I stand with my neighbors. Whatever we need to do. I've been here for about 26 years. I've had problems with developers in the neighborhood as well. I don't like what I see going on in the neighborhood in some ways. As Oscar said, if you want affordable housing, it's the housing that's already here. It's a housing that's already built, and it just needs to be taken better care of. So, if you have concerns, talk to your committee people, talk to your ward leader, talk to your council people, email people, and, hopefully we get some changes made. Thank you.
If we may possibly have to march.
And we will.
When we go to march down? She said we're march down? No,
So again, I just thank everyone who's here. I can't, as Oscar said, Oscar has been one of my mentors. When I first started doing this in 2016, I think most of my protests were 4 people. Maybe 5. I may have hit 20 at one point. Everyone who came out, it's just, I can't say this is like Philly love. It really is. But we need to, we can't leave today and just say, okay, I went out, I did my part, and that's it.
go home and start emailing.
If you see it, demo permits, call it out. Why is that being demolished? What's the point? Why are we